Before we get started, I just want to introduce you really quick to my new co-hosts. Meet Gruyere and Merlot. Hi! Hey guys, I'm Misty from the Book Rat, and right now over on the Book Rat I have an event going called Fairy Tale Fortnight. So as part of that, today's review is a fairy tale retelling called Godmother by Carolyn Turgeon. You guys actually picked this one for me, so as promised, here's what I thought of it. This is a really hard one to review, partly because I don't want to give even a little bitty bit of anything away. I've decided for the purposes of this video that I'm just going to completely avoid spoilers. I don't want to ruin the ending for you. If you want to discuss the ending with me, please don't do it in the comments, because I don't want anyone to have, a sort of ruined book, or to go into the book knowing what to expect, because it's going to completely change the way you read the entire thing. So if you want to discuss it with me, message me or email me or something like that, but leave it out of the comments please, because I don't want to ruin the book for anyone. It is a very unexpected book. It's not at all what I thought it was going to be. It's hard. This is a difficult one to talk about. Let me start though with the thumbs up. It definitely gets a thumbs up. It was very good, very compelling. I don't think it will necessarily be everyone's cup of tea. It's sort of heavily magical realist, which I love. Not everyone likes magical realism. That always makes for a sort of unexpected storytelling experience. You never quite know where something's gonna go if it's magical realism, or what everything means. You never really know if you're interpreting things correctly or if you're reading way too much into things. You don't know if something is straightforward or if it's kind of fantastic. It's just a style that is not geared to everybody. And it's also quite a bit dark, which is another reason I don't think everyone will be drawn to it in the way that I was, or be happy with it in the end. And I think that's part of what makes it so unexpected. I would never have looked at this cover with its bright swirliness and sort of cheerful, slightly surreal look, and knowing that it's a Cinderella fairy tale retelling, I would never look at that and expect it to be this dark, multi-layered magical realist story. As a retelling, I think it works in a really, really interesting way. First of all, I can't think of any other retelling that is told from the fairy godmother's perspective, so it's got that unique factor to it. But beyond that, the way Carolyn Turgeon sort of broke down the Cinderella story and really got into the heart of it if it were to be true, if it were to be real. So it's not just this, magical, lovely tale. I mean, it's a tale of an abused girl who wants desperately to be anywhere else. And so in Godmother, in Carolyn Turgeon's version, Cinderella is broken. She is just this really damaged girl who doesn't think she's good enough and doesn't want anything but to fade away. Making that choice to kind of really analyze it and try to be authentic to the story in a really bare, really raw way was a smart move on Carolyn Turgeon's part, and it adds an authenticity to the story as a retelling on top of the authenticity it adds when you kind of combine it with the actuality of what's going on in the story. It's told in sort of alternating chronologies, so we have the current contemporary setting with Lil, the fairy godmother, who lives in New York and is an old woman now, just going about her life feeling like she was a failure. And then we sort of flash back into Lil's past as a fairy godmother, and how she came to meet Cinderella and how she came to fall in love with the prince and muddle everything up. That makes it sound very lighthearted, romantic and sweet, and though I guess maybe it has those moments, I don't think it ever really is that. It is much more a tale of longing and sort of obsession in a way, and just brokenness. It's actually a really bleak story. As you're reading, you're always looking for the happily ever after, and you're hoping that you're going to get there eventually and sort of come back around in true fairy tale fashion. And Lil, as a narrator, gives every impression that that's going to be the case, that you're going to get that happily ever after, and that she's going to work to make things right. So you're kind of, through Lil's narration, getting not only a fairy tale retelling, but a story of redemption, and a longing for redemption, and a longing to be where you belong and to go back home. It's really complex and layered in ways that I wasn't expecting, and I really, really appreciated that. I really liked Carolyn Turgeon's style, and I thought that she handled both sections of the story well, both the contemporary current narration and the past flashbacks. They remain separate enough in the style, but still unified with Lil's personality, and I think that they flowed seamlessly into each other, so it never felt jarring when you would suddenly go into this flashback or be plunged back into the current day New York. It was a lot like peeling away the layers of an onion trying to get to the core. I don't know why you'd want to get to the core of an onion, but you know, it's just, there was a lot, each flashback in each current setting just peeled away another layer to the story, but also added another layer of depth and another layer of, not quite intrigue, but something along those lines. There comes a point when you start to become suspicious of Lil's narration and whether things happened the way she says they did. You're so in her head at first and just going with it, and then as it goes on you start to wonder, are we really getting the full picture here, and is what Lil's saying true? Is it the ramblings of an old lady? Is it the bitter longing of a thwarted godmother? You start to kind of question everything in a really interesting way, which I think would make this book just absolutely perfect for a book club. This has incredible discussion potential. There's so many layers to it and so many things going on that I think will provoke a lot of discussion, but even more so, the ending is very, very open. It's completely left to interpretation, and I think that that is the type of thing that a book club would really thrive on, or a literature course for that matter. Everyone is going to have their opinion, and also they're going to have their wishfulness, whether you want the ending to have been literal or whether you think that the ending is sort of a delusion. There are a lot of ways that you can go with the end and the ways that you can interpret it, and I think that that would make for excellent discussion, and also for excellent rereads. If you don't go to book clubs or you don't want to discuss but just like to kind of debate things with yourself, I think this book has amazing reread potential. There's just a lot to play with in the story and to kind of debate and question, which is really impressive for such a very trim book. In the end, I found myself really impressed with the story and with Carolyn Turgeon's writing and her approach to the story, and definitely wanting to read more by her. And also really sort of shocked, sort of surprised, you know? It was not at all what I expected, and I'm glad of that. And I would say if you like magical realism, if you like things that are a little more complex and complicated or open-ended, if you like things that are a little more difficult or bleak or questionable, I would definitely recommend picking up Godmother. It is well worth the 270 some pages, absolutely. That's all for me for now. As always, happy reading!